He's out traveling the world, jumping out of airplanes, living a lifestyle that just a lot of people want to live. Welcome to the show, Jack McColl.
So for example, I just flew from London to Abu Dhabi on the Etihad A380. This is a double-decker aircraft. It's called, the first class suite is called the apartment. It's an incredible suite. It's ridiculous. It's like 10 feet by 15 feet. It's my area. It's crazy.
Wow.
There's a couch, there's a chair, the food service is incredible, there's a shower. If you ask any billionaire, you ask them how they made $1 billion, they always say,
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Cody Cottle Show. And man, I've been trying to get this guy on the show for a while. He's out traveling the world, jumping out of airplanes, living a lifestyle that just a lot of people want to live. But I remember the first time you came in and spoke at Nicholas's mastermind, and I first saw you, and I'm like, dude, this guy's doing some legit stuff. He's young, he's going for it, he's building business. He founded creditstacking.com. They've done over $10 million in revenue. They've mentored over 3,000 people, and he's just getting started. Welcome to the show, Jack McColl.
Cody, thank you so much, man. It's so good to be here. I know we've been trying to line this show up for a long time. One thing from that presentation I gave to Nick's group is you were so proactive on being grateful for that presentation. You posted on your Instagram story, and that really made such an impact on me. And I felt so good to be able to present information to teach the group and to see people like you being so appreciative and so proactive on sharing the knowledge to even other people by posting in your story.
Come on. And that's a teaching point right there, because what I've learned is relational equity in Allegiance Capital is everything. So when I'm paying a lot of money to be a part of a mastermind, and this guy's leveraging his network to bring in high-level dudes like you, give value. Even if you were like, never talk to me, you're just like, I ain't even going to talk to this dude, I'm still always going to give value because you might remember me like, hey, that guy really shared that, this and that. And it built a level of relational equity, and then we've gotten to know each other better.
For sure. I think leading with value in any situation is what you absolutely should be doing. Like there's been situations where, I'll go in, I'll be literally showing someone my whole back end system, and that would lead to selling a $40,000 offer that I have. Like I went in literally just trying to show him value. Hey, we're doing this. Here's what I think you should do. Long story short, it led to, a big sale, but that wasn't even the intention going in. It's always leading with value. And also people in my mentorship program, they'll come in, they'll contribute on coaching calls. They'll be giving value to me, to other people in the group. And those are the people I'll end up building the best relationships with just because I see them, they make an impact on me. I can see how much they're giving. And then in results, they're getting a really good relationship with me.
Yeah, dude. It's like Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule. 80% of your energy will always go to the 20% that show up the most. But also there's that law of reciprocity is a real thing. Naturally, when you serve people and you give value to people, and if you see a speaker at an event and you take Instagram stories of him and tag him, and then you send him a voice message, Jack, man, I just want to say thank you so much, dude. Your presentation resonated with me. I walked away with these 3 nuggets I'm going to go implement. How many people from that event actually do that? And now you reply probably because that person took the time to do that. You want to reciprocate that. And now there's a conversation going, and it could be even like, hey, dude, I have a podcast. I would love to bring you on it. Now you got this speaker from a big stage. You were an attendee to say yes to coming on your podcast. People overlook relational equity.
They do. Yeah. You need to remember, and you need to do it. It's going to bring you to the next level for sure.
Yeah.
Relationships are one of the most important things for all sorts of life, specifically to scale in business. And we were talking a little bit before the show about compound interest and how that relates to what I call compound effort. And I think when it comes to compound effort, you're able to ride this exponential wave of momentum once you focus on something for a very long time. And part of that is the relationships you build over time, whether it be in a specific industry or a specific niche. But when you build these relationships, things become easier because you already have those people in place.
Yeah.
Like right now, if I need a website done, boom, I got a guy. If I need more virtual assistants, I have a team that can hire and train them for me. I'll get them trained in 1 week. They'll be plugged into my specific offer. Like there's so many relationships that I have built already that when I need to do new things, launch a new offer, scale a current offer, help someone else out, I already have those relationships built. And that's, because of compound effort over doing something for an extended period of time, it makes it so much more easy to move forward. And I think when people are bouncing around between different industries or different offers. And I understand at the beginning, you might need to do that. You need to test a couple things, see what's going to be a good fit for you.
Yeah.
But once you find something that, you think is good enough, you believe in, you think you can succeed in that, and it gets hard, you want to remember to keep focusing and keep pushing through. And actually something I learned or I heard about on my Instagram story yesterday, one of my good friends talking about, when you start to feel the pain or feel, it getting hard, remind yourself or tell yourself, finally, this finally is where I'm going to grow. When things get hard,
come on,
that is where, bring it on. Come on.
Yeah.
That is where you're going to be pushing yourself to the next level. And, if you do something for an extended period of time, you're most likely going to succeed. If you ask any billionaire, you ask them how they made $1 billion, they always say, I just did the one thing for the last 50 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever that may be.
Dude, come on. Well, let's talk about making money. Let's talk about scaling business. Let's talk about all that. How old are you?
30.
30. So we're like same age. I'm about to be 30. And by 30 years old, you've already built a business that's done $10 million. And a lot of people dream of that, but they don't understand what it takes of that compounded effort you've put in over the time period you've been in business, the last decade you've been going for it, and you're just getting started. So for you, what are some principles you can drop on people? Let's start a little bit basic, but then let's go super high level. So from the initial of, man, I really want to start a business, what would you give somebody?
For sure. So this answer is two-part.
Okay.
I think when anyone is starting a business, it is much easier to launch a business or to succeed in a business if you have access to capital. And this is why I've created the Credit Stacking Mentorship Program, because I have discovered a very effective way to get access to capital from the banks at 0% interest. And it's 0% interest for 9 to 18 months. You see the Fed increasing interest rates. That does not affect the 0% interest offers that these banks are giving on the credit cards.
Right.
I will help entrepreneurs get access to between $40,000 and $300,000 of 0% interest capital from the banks. And again, 0% interest for the first about year up to 18 months. And so when you have access to money, you don't need to have money, you need access to money. I think it's much easier to succeed in business, because at the beginning, there's so many costs you have to spend on. And you have your overhead, and the quicker you can scale, the quicker it becomes more profitable and more easy to actually maintain the business.
Right.
And that's the number one reason businesses fail, because the lack of working capital. So that's the first piece there, getting access to capital. And we'll go into details on how to optimize your credit profiles.
Let's dive into that too, and like how people can get access to capital.
Okay, so we'll stick on the first part right now, and then we'll do the second part of that question in a second here. So really, getting access to capital, is the easiest way to do that is through these 0% cards.
Okay.
It is very easy to do, but only if you know exactly what the underwriters are looking for. And the thing is, you can study at a very good university. They don't teach anything about credit. They don't teach anything about raising money for businesses, et cetera. And so you go into the world, you look at the credit cards, it might even be intimidating. I used to be intimidated by these credit applications. Oh, what happens if I put $200,000 of personal income? Are they going to check that? All these different things. You don't even know. You don't even know. Most people don't even know how to read a credit report. I didn't even know until about 4 years ago when I looked at it for the first time and started to figure this stuff out. But you need to look at your credit report and understand the factors of your FICO score and understand what exactly the banks are looking for, what makes your profile attractive to the lenders. So to get approved for a business credit card, you need to have some sort of business entity, like an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, some sort of business entity. Your business can be brand new. It doesn't need to make any money. It just needs to be a business entity, and you need to have a good, strong personal credit profile. It's much more than just a score. Some people come and say, hey, I have an 800 score. I'm going to get approved for all this capital. Well, how many personal credit cards do you have? What are the limits of your credit card? What is your credit mix? Is it diversified with revolving accounts and installment loans, auto loans, mortgages? That's a good diversity of the credit mix. How many hard inquiries do you have in the last 6 and 12 months? Like, these are all factors that the banks are looking for. And if you make a mistake and don't optimize one of these sections, you're going to get denied for sure. Like, if you have over 3 inquiries on any bureau in the last 6 months, you're most likely going to get denied from these banks on any credit product. And so we go step by step through each of these factors: your credit age, the utilization, the amount of hard inquiries you have, the type of credit card accounts you have, the collective limits you have on these personal credit cards. And so the first thing we're looking at is really the payment history. If someone has a ton of late payments or collections, all this derogatoriness, you need to go find a credit repair company and get that removed. If your payment history is relatively clean, Then the next thing we're looking at is the credit age and the utilization. So if your credit age is less than 2 years on average, and you can check on Experian.com or MyScoreIQ.com or Credit Karma, if it's less than 2 years, the way to increase that credit age is to get added as an authorized user of someone else's card, which gets reported onto your report as an authorized user, and it's going to increase your average age. And that's going to make yourself more attractive, increase your score, et cetera. Then we're looking at utilization. This is the amount that is reported at the end of the statement to the bureaus. So you can max out a personal credit card, but you just need to pay it down before the statement closing date, because that's the date that gets reported. That's the amount that gets reported to the bureaus on a monthly basis. So you want to have utilization under 30% on each personal credit card, better under 10% utilization on each personal credit card.
And that's for the personal. And this is what you'd recommend. They need to have all of that in alignment before they go out and start trying to get these big cards for business with zero interest.
For sure. It is super important.
Okay.
You can even have a good score, but you don't have a good, thick, strong profile, and you're not going to get approved for any business credit card accounts.
Yeah.
You might
if you do, it's low limits.
2K limit. Like, what are you going to do with 2K limit? Like, you need to do these things first and not apply prematurely. So next thing, kind of before we kind of move forward, is we want to look at the amount of credit card accounts you have. And it's ideal if you have at least 3 personal credit cards on your profile, and ideally you have at least 15K of collective personal credit limits. The more limits you have, up to 100K, the better. So if you have 5 personal credit cards with collective personal credit limits of $60,000, that is super strong. That's super strong. But someone that might only have collective $10,000 of personal credit limits, they're not going to get good limits on the business side. And so there's very specific ways on applying for personal credit cards, the right personal credit cards that will give you a very good limit, that will build a relationship with a very good bank who has business credit cards, so you can build trust with that bank. So by the time you apply for that business card, they're going to give you a bigger limit. And then also, because if we look at banks like Chase, Bank of America, American Express, these are tier 1 banks. So if you get a personal credit card from a tier 1 bank, it looks much better on your credit profile. So when you do get business credit cards, that it looks more attractive to them, and they're going to give you better limits. So when people have small limits on the personal side, there's specific high limit personal credit cards that I recommend, and I've seen these cards to give the highest limits, which will then make their profile more attractive and build relationships with the right bank. And so these are cards like the Chase Freedom Unlimited, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, the Built credit card, which I'll get into. That's a great card you can pay rent on. The American Express Delta Gold, and also the Apple Card. Those are my 5 favorite personal high-limit credit cards.
The personal. We're not going for the big zero-interest business yet. These are the personal ones.
Correct. Yeah, we want to first focus on...
I have several of those.
On optimizing the personal profile, because that is the most important thing. Like, the most important thing to get approved for big business credit cards is the optimization of that personal profile. And then once that's good, I mean, you can get business credit cards with good limits on a brand new business with no revenue, but you need good personal credit. You can even have an aged business with great revenue, but if your personal credit profile is not optimized and attractive to these lenders, you're not going to get approved. It is the most important thing.
Now, do they run these through, they have an initial screening that's kind of like automated, right? Looking for things, and then they have underwriters. So do you even have to have those things just to make it through the initial systems automation of approval where it looks for stuff?
So basically, when it comes to applying for things, there's really 2 ways you're going to get a decision. It's through the computer algorithm, just on online applications, or through a business relationship manager on the business side, where it's actually a human looking at your application.
Gotcha.
And so you go through one of those 2 processes, and they look at your stuff, look at your profile, and determine, yes, approved for low limit or high limit, or just straight up denied.
Okay, so the first thing is getting all of the personal in check, the higher, limit that you have, better. And now let's say this individual's like, all right, Jack, I've gone and done the best that I can with this. I'm over 2-year history. I got, $40,000+ in access of credit. All of my utilization's under 10%.
For that introductory period. So you need to factor into your financial plan of when you're going to receive the money back.
Yeah.
But if you're in real estate doing fix and flips, like, it is such a no-brainer to get access to this type of capital, because I know a lot of people that can do flips in 3 to 4 months, getting an extra $100,000, $200,000. Like, how many more deals can you do? How much more money are you going to make by having this access to capital?
Yeah. So it is having that right vehicle. So let's say like someone where you're at, like, how much capital do you have right now that you have access to?
600 grand.
So you have access to $600,000. So someone goes through this process and they're doing mass applies. They hire you. They have mentorship. They get $100K in interest free. They go make some solid flips. What's like phase 3? What's the evolution of, all right, Jack, like, let's just imagine I'm your client. I've already done this. I've invested. My 50K cards I got, zero interest is up. And now I'm sitting down with you. I'm like, dude, what else can I do?
In terms of getting access to more money
Yeah.
or more businesses?
I would say, because what is that next step, right? Someone's like, all right, I got access to 100, 150K. My zero interest limits have run out. Do you keep telling them to get more and more credit?
Yeah, so that's two-part answer right there. So simply put, get access to more capital. If you run out of the 0% interest period and you need more 0% interest or just more money to float the investment or keep going on the business, you can get more access to 0% cards because there's so many different banks you can get these cards from.
Right.
So one, I would look at more options to get 0% cards. And then secondly, I would look at business lines of credit. So business lines of credit, they do come with interest. Usually they're about 10 to 12% right now because you look at the Fed interest rate plus plus a little bit extra. And so, they used to be under 10, but now they're just a little bit above 10 with how rates are increased. So that's the second product I would look at, 0% interest cards first, and then business lines of credit. And so if your business is over 2 years, you have a lot of different options of business lines of credit. Some you can get without tax returns. Some you do need tax returns. But, one really good bank that will give what's called no-doc business lines of credit, which no-doc means they don't require tax returns, is KeyBank. KeyBank is a great bank that offers these no-doc business lines of credit. Wells Fargo as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you can quite easily get 50,000, 50 to 100,000 on these no-doc business lines of credit, come about 10% interest only when you use the money from the business line of credit. So that's kind of the progression. You start with the 0% cards, and then you move to the business lines of credit.
Yeah, you know what I love about this, Jack, is business is so much about like problem solving. And like, it's like, hey, how do I create a viable product or service that I can bring to market? I can market it and I can sell it and I can scale it because we're going to get into scale talk. And a lot of the limitations come down to, I don't have the money to go build this vehicle or do this thing. But when you have access to capital, wealthy people think like this. But when you come from working class and, I don't know what your upbringing was like, but for me, my parents don't have this mindset. This was never taught through school, never taught through parents. It was never, the entire town I come from, there might be like a fraction of 1% that actually understand and do these type of things. But it's like, you start learning, like, I don't have to be a millionaire to be able to invest several $100,000 to build a multi-million-dollar business. I just need to figure out how to get someone to give me the money so I can use it to build the vehicle. You have found, hey, we can do this through the banks, guys. Like every one of us could do this from our house. However, there is education and information and strategy and kind of a standard operating procedure that you guys have built through trial and error to do it. How is this playing into what you're building now? How have you been able to build using this in your own life, in your own business?
Listen, Cody, I think for any business owner not using business credit and leveraging the banks to fund their ideas, it's a massive disservice to themselves and their business. There are so many benefits from the 0% interest cards that most business owners are just not taking advantage of. Most businesses will highly succeed if they get access to more money. That's the number one reason why businesses fail. They don't have access to the right money. And in the beginning, you need to spend money to scale and to get to that next level. Then it becomes a lot easier. The byproduct of these credit cards are the credit card points. And through the credit card points that I've received from my credit cards, that has helped me literally get hundreds of thousands of dollars of free luxury travel. And we can go into some of those details on how to use credit card points for luxury travel. But that in itself, you can get easily tens of thousands of dollars of free luxury travel just through these credit card points that these top cards are giving. Like if you're using a debit card, you're not making any points whatsoever. If you're using the right credit cards, you can get 2 to 4x points per dollar spent. And if you spend, $100,000 in your business over the year, whatever that is, that's up to $400,000, 400,000 points that you can use for free luxury travel. And we'll go into details on how to maximize the value of that. But really, there's been so many times where I've been absolutely strapped for business. And it took me several years as an entrepreneur to actually learn about this way of funding businesses. And, to go back on my upbringing a bit, I grew up in a very small town, 5,000 people, city limits. My high school graduating class was 200 people. My dad was an entrepreneur. For the last 30 years, he's done the same exact thing. He's been a software programmer, but a one-man team. Like I highly admire him because he always created enough time and freedom to spend with us. He was taking sales calls or support calls, like literally on the snowboard, on the ski lift going up the mountain, and then would ride with us on the way down. And so he worked really hard, very small business, and he never scaled his business. It's still a one-man show, never delegated things, all that thing. So I had to learn a lot on myself, but I was always kind of pushed into business and into entrepreneurship. And I had that, I was able to watch him and see the kind of life you can create through entrepreneurship. But then, going in business, I studied business marketing at University of Washington, didn't learn anything about credit, didn't learn honestly much about business in itself on the things that I really needed to know as an entrepreneur. You learn things, if you want to get a job for some company, like there are things that college teaches you, but to be an entrepreneur, there's so much you just have to figure out yourself.
Right.
You have to jump in. The first business I did was I was selling hoverboards. I sold hoverboards. I imported them from China, which obviously it took a lot of upfront capital, but I knew that these were selling like hotcakes. Like we bought the first 10, sold them in the first like 2 days. We're like, wow, we need to get a lot of these.
Yeah.
So my business partner and I think we each put $6,000 into a bank account, bought more of these things, waited a week or two of shipping time to then sell them again. And again, sold like crazy. So we had to do this like slow turn of like sending the money, wait a couple weeks, sending the money, wait a couple weeks. Where if we only had hundreds of thousands of dollars, we would have made literally millions of dollars. And I know we missed out because I met someone years later that had access to money and was buying these in massive volume and did make millions of dollars. So, it was a good learning experience, but I knew I needed access to money. And so that led me to my second business, which was inflatable loungers, and also a super viral product. We imported from China, sold them in the States, and I knew we needed money, so we brought on an equity partner. This equity partner brought some money, brought some expertise. We did all the work, et cetera. We were able to sell a lot more because we bought in volume because we had access to money.
And capital. So you did e-com. So e-com really got you off the ground to start.
E-com, yeah, for sure.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah.
What made you pivot? All right, so you had to learn to get capital. Where did credit stacking come in? Like, what was the story of you starting this? What made you want to be like, you know what, I want to go teach people how to do this and get money?
Yeah, so I mean, I had the one personal credit card I had that was really good was the Chase Sapphire Reserve. And some friend randomly said, hey, this is the best personal credit card to get. It's good for travel. I know you like travel. Let me help you get it. And so he literally did the application in front of me and got me the card. And then I was making 3x points on dining and travel. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I had no idea about business credit until I was, but I was 26. And so I was an entrepreneur for 8 years up until that point, had no idea about business credit. And so once someone told me, and I should have mentioned at the beginning of the show, one of the most important things about business credit cards, listen close, this is really big. The business credit accounts do not report to your personal credit profile.
Yep.
So you can max these cards out and it doesn't affect your personal
Most
credit
don't.
score.
Like, I think Capital One does.
Capital One does, TD does, and Discover. Those are pretty trash cards in general, but
Yeah.
the rest do not report. And so
Right, like my Chases, my Amexes, none of those report to my personal.
exactly. So I learned that, and I learned the limits are bigger on business credit cards. And I was like, damn, if I didn't know that as an entrepreneur for 8 years, there's got to be millions of people that don't know this. And so I started to test different things on myself. Some things worked, some things didn't. I became so fascinated with this way of funding because that was always a struggle for me. I was bootstrapped at the beginning, an equity partner that actually led to a nightmare situation. I had to buy them out. Then I had a business loan in a different business, paid a shit ton in interest. And I realized that this is the best way to fund businesses. And I needed to figure it out. And so like I said, I was testing it on myself. Then I started to test things on my friends and just to get different data points to test my strategies, et cetera. And then one thing that was major key, and this is how I got most of my information at the beginning of my journey in credit, and still how I get most of my information on credit, is there's these individuals called business relationship managers. These are high-level individuals at the banks that facilitate and process these business credit applications at these top banks. They are the bridge between the consumer like you and me and the underwriting teams. And so they know what the underwriters are looking for. They know exactly what the underwriters are looking for.
And does that change?
It does change over time, for sure. Like over the last 4 years, there's definitely been strategies that change. And so to get information from these people and then, work with, people that I'm working with, it's a game changer. And so there's certain information that these individuals can tell you on a phone call or in person that they cannot put in an email or a text message, of course. And so I was able to extract a ton of information from these high-level business relationship managers at Chase, Bank of America, American Express, US Bank. And that was insane. I learned that very young in my credit journey. And then I started to implement some of these strategies with the people that I was working with. And like the limits were just getting crazy big. I was really getting good at optimizing people's profiles, telling them exactly what to do. I understood what information is important to include on a business credit application, what information you kind of want to avoid, what information is verifiable, what's not verifiable, what banks you want to have a business checking account at, what banks doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So I learned all these things. And then once I started teaching people, the curve just went exponential. Like, once I have more data points on this is working really good, this is not working so good, I can test things so quick. And also in my private Facebook group for my program, I'm getting experience and information from almost 3,000 people.
You got all these students. You're getting so much more data just from that ecosystem that you built.
It's the data.
Yeah.
And so that once I realized that the accounts don't report and you can get massive limits. And I didn't know this for so long. There's got to be other people that don't know it. And so I just knew it was such a solution to my life as an entrepreneur that I knew it would be a solution to so many other people. And that was such a pain. Like getting access to money was so difficult. And this was the solution. And I won't say it's easy. It's very straightforward if you know exactly what to do. And over 4 years, I figured out this incredible blueprint to show people exactly what to do. And there's nothing like it.
Come on, man. Now look at you. How many years has credit stacking been around?
3 years for credit stacking, and I had another program before it.
And over 3,000, around 3,000 students. That's so cool, man. And now you're kind of going into a cool mode. What I love about entrepreneurship is I call it stay in the game protocol. But when you stay in the game long enough, you're always going to win as an entrepreneur. And I really want to dive in with you into compound effort. Because you are at a place in your life where you're beginning to see your compound interest from your compound effort in business, and you're kind of on a hockey stick right now with your life, with business, with finances, which is a really cool time to have someone on a podcast because you've made it through the beginner journey of like just trying to figure everything out. You had some wins, but you've done it long enough that now you're on that springboard where things are only going to keep exponentially going. Not that you won't have pullbacks, obstacles, challenges, things you have to overcome. That's just what we sign up for.
Big time.
But so speak to us, Jack, 'cause I know you're passionate about it right now. Yeah. Talk to us about compound effort and what you're learning going through this process right now.
Yeah, I think this is the second part to that question earlier that we put to the side. Forgot the exact question, but I'm happy you brought this up because I think it's so important. One, to embrace the challenges and the hardship. And when I see people struggling and going through hard things in their business or even personal life, like I'm honestly grateful for them because without that hard shit, you're not going to grow.
Yeah.
Like you are only as strong as you are, likewise to me, because we've gone through things that have pushed us to the next level. And so I'm always trying to, support people and help them through, et cetera. But like, I am genuinely grateful for people when they are having a hard time because I know it's benefiting them. When it comes to a business and starting a business and scaling a business, I think it is so important to be able to make I think it's so important to make scalable decisions. You don't want to make a business for yourself just to create a job for yourself. A lot of people do that. The solo entrepreneurs will do that for sure, like my dad. And I didn't learn this for, quite a bit of time. And more so recently in the last few years, figured this out.
Yeah.
But you need to build a strong team. You need to build strong standard operating procedures, SOPs, processes for everything, and build an actual company that can run without you. Like I just got back from a 4-week trip, literally traveled around the world. It was the first time I've gone all the way around the world.
Come on.
Dubai, Bali, incredible locations. And in the businesses I run, all ran very well without me because I have these good processes that I built and I have these SOPs. And basically the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, it is so important to be able to develop these. This is how you train other people to make decisions like you. Like as the business leader, it took me so long to build these SOPs, right? When you make a decision, Cody, in your business or whatever, there's so many variables that go into these decisions, right? So how do you put these variables on a document that you can train a team member to read and study so they can then make decisions like you?
Yeah.
It's very difficult with, depending on the decision, there can be so many variables and the SOP has to all link up together. All the answers, a lot of if this, then this, but if this, than this.
Yeah.
So
you kind of got to map it,
it's
whole
a huge
thing.
map. And I have dozens of pages of SOPs, and that's been a key. And what has also been a key is finding the right people. And that is so much easier said than done. And when you have a good person, you need to make sure you keep them. You need to make sure that you take care of them, et cetera. But one thing that's been an absolute game changer for 2 of my specific offers is hiring virtual assistants from the Philippines, which you can do on the website is onlinejobs.ph.
Yeah.
You can hire virtual assistants from the Philippines, very cost efficient, very dedicated. They're very intelligent if you get the right ones. But from my experience, you can get very high quality talent from the Philippines. They love SOPs. They love, working hard, and they're super grateful for an amount of money that is a fraction of what you would pay someone in the United States. It's absolutely incredible.
And it's a blessing to them.
Absolute blessing. I was just in the Philippines 5 nights ago visiting my virtual assistant team.
Come on.
We had a huge dinner, big table, meeting all of them for the first time, and it was incredible. I mean, they drove 2 hours to come see me. I was like, oh, I'll come to see you. And they're like, no, we'll pick you up from the airport. And
that's cool.
They even paid for the lunch. I was like, no, I'm paying for the lunch, but one of them snuck their card to the waiter. I was like, oh, nice.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. But
they're some of the nicest cultured people I've ever met. We have teams over there as well.
Cool. But yeah, I think, when I look at my father's experience in business, and I respect so much of what he's done, but the thing I mentioned before is he never delegated things, and I had to figure that out. And so now when I'm thinking about getting things done and I need to complete a specific task, one of the first questions I ask myself is, who can I get to do this for me? How can I delegate this to someone else? And you do have to do so much at the beginning. You have to build these processes. You have to build the training material. And I mean, there was like months and months, like I'm the one doing the customer service. I'm doing all this stuff for months to be able to figure out this SOP. But you need to make sure that you are making scalable decisions. So I could have stayed doing the customer service for several months, but instead I would look at a question and then find an answer and then put that in an SOP. So like if someone says this, then reply with this. You have to think, how can you do this task? But next time, how can you do this task, but document it so next time you don't have to?
Or replace yourself,
You can replace yourself. And so there's so many times where, I need to do something like make tutorial videos for X, Y, and Z. And okay, who on my team can I get to make those tutorial videos for me? Perfect. This is the person. Have a quick meeting with them, 15 minutes. Now they're going to spend 6 hours making those tutorial videos instead of me spending 6 hours. I spent 15 minutes. They're spending 6 hours. I'm paying them to do the work. It's a win-win.
Scalable decision.
Scalable decisions, big time.
And now you freed up 5 hours and 45 minutes to focus on things that are more your highest and best use. And obviously you're also creating freedom for yourself to be able to travel. And you, from what I've seen from the outside looking in, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but one of your greatest, highest and best uses to your company is continuing to build the brand, continuing to be the voice, the face, make content. And it's nice when you've done what's hard up front. So now you have the freedom to do that, which you also enjoy.
Absolutely. You have to put very hard work in at the beginning, and I've done that for everything. You have to put that hard work in at the beginning. There was one thing you mentioned. I forgot it. Excuse me.
Sorry, it'll come back to you. So in scaling, SOPs, processes, finding the right people, and you talked about this compounded effort. How have you seen that manifest in your business? You've been in the game long enough putting in effort. What are you seeing begin to happen that maybe was even something you couldn't fathom in the beginning of business?
I think when you do something for long enough, you are sometimes able to make other offers in your same niche. And so, for example, I'll go through kind of progression of what I've done in my
walk us through like
space.
your offers and how you've grown that.
So the first was teaching people the skill of credit, which I think is one of, if not the most important skill to know as an entrepreneur on how to get access to money. After doing that for multiple years, I realized I could also help people reach that same objective through a different business model. So the coaching offer, they pay X amount of money up front. They get into the course and the weekly calls that I host and get access to these resources, but they pay up front, then they learn it. The other business model is more so the done for you model. So whereas we would help them optimize their credit, work with them one-on-one, apply on their behalf, and then charge the client a percentage on the back end
of what they get.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's a little bit more expensive, but it's easier for them. And the money is no money out of pocket because it's on the back end that they can pay on one of the new cards.
Nice. So this was an evolution of offers for you.
Exactly.
And you still offered the education. And now, is the education a do-it-yourself or done with you?
The education is more so do-it-yourself,
Okay.
But you have the support of the Facebook group, which is the biggest and most elite Facebook group in the credit space. And then there's weekly coaching calls that I host.
Right. So you're always pouring into them, educating them, answering questions, supporting them. But they're still the one clicking the button, submitting the app. Evolutionary offer, hey, we'll do it for you. You're going to pay us more money, but it's less strain and stress on you.
Exactly. So there's two really good options there. That was the first step of the evolution of the offers.
Okay.
And then this is a newer one. And so back to the whole systems and SOPs and team virtual assistants, all that stuff, I've realized within this done for you funding model that I'm part of, we've built such an amazing system with automations. We've optimized and customized our CRM, and everything is just dialed. Like the business runs 90% automated. And so I realized that system that I was able to help build is way more superior than other systems that other done-for-you funding companies that other funding companies are operating on. And so the new offer that we created is a system, or it's an offer that does the build-out of the back ends of different funding companies.
Wow.
So we take our system that we've been building, the SOPs, the templates, the hundreds of templates, the Zapier automations, all the things that make it so automated,
right.
The training for the virtual assistants. We then use that and build out the back end of other funding companies so they can operate on the same system that we have been operating on that is.
And now you guys license
automated.
it out? Do they pay up front? Do you get recurring revenue from it?
There's two ways to do it. There's two ways we've split it.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
no, that's genius too. And what I love is I have a philosophy that if you just keep showing up to run the race and do the same thing long enough, optionality continues to increase. And you're able to continue to apply different offense within that niche. But your credibility grows, your name grows, your brand grows. Just the ecosystem, you basically have created your own economy in credit. And now you have like other companies like, hey man, we want to do what you do. Well, awesome. Let's build an offer to sell it to you. And so that's been the third one. Is there any other evolution you've seen within the credit space happen yet with your offers? What about anybody wanting to sell? And maybe this kind of falls into that new offer. Jack, I want to do what you do. Do you sell that? Do you teach them how to do it? Do you sell your system to them? What if do you see that as a competitor?
No, I don't see competitor in any way possible. If someone wants to learn credit and have their own coaching program, I'm all for it. And there's a lot of people that join my mentorship program to do that or end up doing it. Like they don't even have the intention of doing it, but then they realize I'm getting pretty good at credit. And then they'll, the most respectful ones will say, hey, Jack, I want to teach this. Can I get your blessing? I'm like, first of all, that is so nice of you to ask. You don't have to ask me, but for sure, I support you and I wish you the best and let me know how we can help. And I think the pie is so big that, there's no competition there. Yeah. And, with this new offer, I'm helping done-for-you funding companies get better at their business. And so it's all collaboration. And I'm also, I'm connected with all, most of the leaders in the credit and funding space. And I have, one specific group chat with most of them that I help create. And, I think collaboration in industries is very important. We have the same or similar offers. And, they are competing, but regardless, we can share strategies, share funding strategies, and each, the strategies will benefit each of our businesses much more than it to take away from our business, which realistically is not
that's
even
the right
away.
mindset to have. And at the highest level, the highest players in the game understand the value of strategic partners. The more you climb up, like my buddies that run $50 million plus like educational coaching, digital marketing companies, they have taught me they're like, the higher you climb, the more you're going to realize how much you need others. So like just getting into that room and that ecosystem and forming those partnerships, who knows, you guys might completely change the credit economy again and again and again because you guys have the ability to through your collaboration. So that's cool, man. To me, that's that compounded effort. This guy who started with e-com, now all the way to there. What is What's next for you guys, man? Where are you going with all this?
It's just scaling those 3 offers. I love doing it. It helps, it helps entrepreneurs be more successful in business, helps other people make money. I love doing that. I'm very good at it. And so another thing, I want to stay focused on those 3 things.
Yeah.
And I also think it's very important for people, back to the compound effort.
Yeah.
You don't want to do too many things at the same time. I have so many other opportunities. I can probably make a quick buck here, quick few thousand. Like, it's just not worth it to me because I want to focus on what I'm best at, which the niche is funding, and be as best as I can at that specific thing. And if I get distracted on all these different things, it's going to take away from my focus.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes you got to make a quick buck here and there, but
the entrepreneurs very much have shiny object syndrome.
Absolutely.
And you've seen it. If you've been in the game,
I've made the mistakes. Yeah,
I have too. And now that you've been in the game long enough, you also see how many people come and go and change what they're doing and change their offers and switch their companies and switch their brands. And it's like they're constantly starting over. Yeah. And you hit it really well in the beginning. You're like, hey, in the beginning, like it's okay to do a little bit of that, but identify what your one thing as soon as you can is and go all in and stick with it. What advice would you have, man? Because I know a guy like you with the social media presence you have, the business you've built, good opportunities are probably getting thrown to you every week. How do you protect your focus? How do you stay focused on the one thing?
Learn to say no. Learn to say no more than you say yes. It's super easy to say yes. And I mean, the farther along you get on the journey, the more opportunities there's going to be. And now I'm saying no 90% of the time. That's my default. No is my default, and I want to focus on what I'm building.
Yeah. And
just remember that the compound effort is a serious thing, and maybe you can focus on this and make a few bucks here, etc. And it could be worth it. Getting extra a little bit, it could be worth it. But really just evaluate what that specific offer or opportunity is, who you're working with, what kind of track record do they have? Do they seem like a good person? I mean, I think it's easier to make money if you're the one responsible. And if you blow it, at least you only can blame yourself.
Yeah.
And then you're going to learn from it. Where if like you invest with someone else and they botch it, they scam you, whatever it may be, then you're going to kick yourself and like, oh, why did I trust them? So I think, and I've done that several times, and I've lost more money than I've made with investing with other people. And so I'll just remind myself, if I'm in control of the business or the investment, then I'm going to be a better holder of the money and probably do better in general. And usually if your back's against the wall, you're going to perform a lot better. So yeah. I think default to investing in yourself, investing into your business, saying no to other things as a default is a good idea. And then just making sure that you're spending enough on your business. It's very hard to succeed in business and it needs full focus. And so you need to stay focused.
Yeah. And I think like in that compound effort of doing that too, there is a point of ascension in the business that you're creating where optionality can increase again in a different way. You can build this business to such a height where you're like, okay, if I want to go build another business now, I can. But I think so many of us will almost see that mentor, that person we aspire to be like, and we're like, man, Elon, you're running this and this and this. And they almost try to do that in the beginning, when they haven't even gotten that one vehicle to a height and have the leadership and the team and everything developed and done it long enough that they could actually step away from it and have a 5-10% input in the company, and it continues to grow without them. My biggest mistake was like, I built things and then I went to start other things and I didn't stick building it long enough. So when my attention went off of it, it started to die. It started to decline. And I had to learn, stick with the vehicle long enough and slowly phase myself out. And like you said, you have to constantly replace yourself as a CEO over and over and over and over again. That could be a 5-10 year process that you do. In 10 years, you might actually hit a point, Jack McColl, where you're like, dude, I have phased myself out of everything with credit stacking. We're even at a point with content where I don't have to go on podcasts anymore. Like, we're going to keep growing. I got key players in place. I just love your opinion on that, man.
And that will happen if you make scalable decisions. You will too if you want to do that. Yeah. You have to remind yourself, scalable decisions. How can you do this task and document it so you can eventually train someone else to do it? How can you get someone else to think and operate like you, etc.?
Yeah, that's so good, man. One thing that you had hit on that people love to hear about, and you just have a wealth of knowledge on this, is travel hacking. Like, I love watching your lifestyle online, man, and I'm doing levels of it. I would say I'm like novice in travel hacking, and because I've gotten exposure to guys like you, and I've done all my own R&D, and I've learned the hard way and just read so much information on it. But people should know about this. Like, especially if you own a business and you're spending that much expenses every month already, just reallocating how you do that and how you use the points. Educate us, man. How do we get on your level, bro?
Yeah, there are many ways that you can get luxury travel for free by using credit cards. Most easily through credit card points. And it's most easy if you have the right cards that will give you the most points per dollar spent depending on the transaction. And so you first want to look at, what does your business spend the most money on? Is it advertising? Is it dining? Is it software? What are those expenses? And then how do you make sure you get the top card that gives you the most points? For example, one of my favorite cards that I think almost every single business owner should have is the American Express Business Gold. This card is an amazing card. It's the best business card to accumulate points, and American Express points are incredible because you can transfer those points to different airlines and different hotels, which you can get a lot of value by doing so. And so this Amex Business Gold gives 4x on advertising, on dining, on electronics, on software, on phones, on gas as well. It gives 4x points per dollar spent on the top two categories.
So I have the platinum and the gold. Should I, because I run different expenses to both, is the gold better for all of that than the platinum?
So the platinum is actually not really that good of a card.
Okay.
It's only a good card if you are swiping your card a lot for flights. I don't do that because I use points to book my flights. But if your business is spending a lot of money on flights, you can use your Amex Platinum through the Amex portal and get 5x points per dollar spent, but it has to be through the Amex portal.
And you have to pay through them, because I've done that. I've used it for the hotels, the flights, the 5X, and the kickback on the airline that you pick and all that.
So if you're swiping card, if you're paying cash for travel through the Amex portal, that is the main benefit of that card. You also get lounge access, a couple other travel benefits, but many other travel cards have those benefits as well. So for a lot of people, they overlap. But there's a $700 annual fee, and you can break even on that annual fee on the business platinum and personal platinum if you just use the statement credits, like $400 at Dell, the $120 a year on your phone plan, etc. So I don't think the platinum is the best card unless you're spending a lot of money on travel. But the most important card I think most business owners would get a lot of benefit from is this Amex Business Gold. 4x on dining and advertising, and then electronics and software and phone and gas as well. It's the top two categories. It's next level. So if you spend $50,000 a year
Take a note on this.
dining,
we're moving everything over on our software and all that, because we run the Amex Platinum through a lot of it.
Oh, dude, you'll get 4 times more points. 4 times. That's insane. And so once you have these American Express points, next, you got to figure out how to find deals on different airlines. Anytime you're using your points through the travel portal on American Express or Chase, you're going to get a 1 to 1.5 ratio by using those points. And so you might get a 50% bonus on the value of those points. But how you can get a 10x value on those points is to find a deal on different airline programs, like through Air Canada. So you can find, go to Air Canada, search your specific routes, and see if there's a better deal on Air Canada. So for example, I just flew from London to Abu Dhabi 3 weeks ago on the Etihad A380. This is a double-decker aircraft. It's called, the first class suite is called the apartment. It's an incredible suite. It's like the size of, it's ridiculous. It's like 10 feet by 15 feet. It's my area. It's crazy. There's a couch, there's a chair, the food service is incredible, there's a shower. It's like the best first class seat in the entire sky. One of the top 3. I was able to book this with only 60,000 American Airlines miles. And 60,000, a lot of people will spend that on a domestic flight in economy.
Because you took and transferred them to a partner that had a increase on it.
So exactly what I did for this, and this brings me to the second card that I recommend to a lot of people. It's a personal card. It's the Bilt credit card. It's issued by Wells Fargo. It's called Bilt, and you can use this card to pay rent on. It gives you an account number and a routing number. So when you use it on your landlord portal, it doesn't look like a credit card. It looks like a bank account. So you're not getting charged that credit card fee, and you're earning 1x points per dollar spent by using it. So if your rent's $4K, you're gonna make $4K points a month. If you refer that card to other people, you also make more points at Bilt. And so why I'm talking about Bilt is because Bilt is the only credit card program that you can transfer to American Airlines. It's the only one. So Chase and American Express, they can transfer to most of the other airlines, but American Airlines has the exclusive right now with Bilt. And American Airline miles are super, super valuable. And so it makes Bilt points super, super valuable. So basically what I did there, and I've been using my Bilt card on rent for last year or so, and I've referred the card to some people, which they give you points when you refer your card. And I was able to generate 60,000 points on Bilt, transfer them to American Airlines. And I noticed, and because American Airlines and Etihad are in the same alliance, I was able to book this Etihad A380 first class seat on the American Airlines portal. And instead of spending $10,000 for this flight, I was able to use 60,000 miles.
That's crazy.
Next level. And I do this all the time. Then I flew from Dubai to Bali on Qatar first class seat. Incredible. And that was also, it was either 40 or 60. It was like just ridiculous.
Dude, that's amazing. And then I've also noticed IHG has a really good points conversion from Chase.
Yeah.
And I'll send over there. So I just booked getting married in January to Esther and was doing our honeymoon.
Congratulations.
Yeah, man. Come on.
Excited for you.
I'm excited. And I booked, half of our honeymoons all paid for with points. And then even the other half I did at the one hotel in Hanalei Bay on Kauai, and half of that was paid for with points.
Incredible.
Yeah, but the IHG, I really took advantage of that. It would have been another 8 Gs, and that was paid for completely with points.
Incredible.
But I did my research and stuff to do that, but the airlines I have not cracked yet. So I took some knowledge from you, bro.
So you can get even better value and better deals with the airlines. The best I got, I actually kind of forgot, but I think it was a 15x multiple on my points. So to give an example, if you use your points through American Express portal, you get a 1-to-1 value. If you use it on the Chase and you have the Chase Sapphire Reserve, you might get a 50% bonus. So that's 1.5 to 1. I'm talking about these strategies that help you get a 5x, 5 to 1, or a 10 to 1, or a 15 to 1. And so you can quite easily get a 5x multiple on your points through hotels, but it's easier to get an even higher multiple on your points.
It's $1,000 worth of points now becomes $5,000, $10,000, $15,000.
For sure.
That's crazy.
For sure. So yeah, so 100,000 Chase points on a 1-to-1 ratio is worth about $1,000. And then you can use that to get a much more value on when you transfer them out.
All right, so we got Amex Gold. We got Bilt. What else?
Amex Business Gold. Amex Gold is also good for sure, but I recommend the Business Gold. If you're a business owner, most people
That's what I have, yeah.
Yeah, Amex Business Gold, because one, you want to put your business expenses on the business side, but Amex Gold is also good. But I don't particularly recommend the Amex Personal Gold because most people are trying to build that comparable credit. As we talked about earlier, you want at least $15,000 of collective personal credit, and the more higher credit limits you have, the better it is for business funding. Because the Amex Gold is not because it's not a credit card, it's a charge card. It doesn't actually report a limit. It just reports the balance. So it doesn't actually increase your comparable credit. So it has some benefits of the card, but if you're looking to increase your comparable credit, I wouldn't recommend it first.
Okay. So what would you recommend beyond Amex Business Gold and the Bilt card? What are some other great cards to use to accumulate points for travel hacking?
So the Capital One Venture and Capital One Venture X gives you 2x points per dollar spent.
Okay.
That is a good card. The only con of Capital One, it gives you a hard inquiry on all three bureaus. And so I would only recommend that a little bit later, after business funding. But let me give a card that gives 2x points per dollar spent, both on Chase and American Express. So, and this gives you the 2x on everything purchases. So ideally, you have the. Can I have my phone, please? I actually have the perfect notes for all this.
Yeah.
But basically, you want to have a card for each of your transactions to maximize your points. So you want to have a card for travel. You want to have a card for dining, one for advertising if you run advertising, and then a card for everything else. And so the Amex Business Blue Plus is 2x on everything. So if it's not dining, if it's not travel, if it's not gas, you want to put everything else on this American Express Business Blue Plus, and you get 2x, which is incredible. 2x.
I think I have that too, man. I need to use them better though.
Perfect. So my ideal stack, and this is the first year that I've been able to completely separate my personal expenses with my business expenses on my credit cards. But because before I would just put business expenses on personal cards just to get the points and then do the reconciliation after. But my tax strategist is like, hey, we need to de-risk you because that's higher risk for audit, right? So I have the American Express, and these are cards that are, to answer your question, on how to generate the most points.
Yeah.
Not for 0% purposes, just how to generate the most points. So American Express Business Gold, 4X on ads and dining and other things, but for me, that's most important. The Chase Business Inc. Preferred, which is 3X on travel, and everything travel for me is business related. I just got this card. This is the Chase Inc. Premier, which is also the 2X on everything. So you can either get the Chase Inc. Premier or the Amex Blue Business Plus.
Okay.
Either one of those.
And that's 2X on everything outside of those other expenses.
Exactly. So I'm getting 2X or more on everything.
Dang.
And then I'm a big Marriott hotel guy, and so I'm going to get very soon the Amex Business Marriott. I have the Amex Personal, or I had the Chase Personal Marriott, but I need to separate those business expenses. On the personal side, the best cards to accumulate points is the Amex Personal Gold, which we briefly talked about, because that gives 4X on groceries and dining. There's some other categories as well, but for me, those are the two most lucrative categories. Next is the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which gives 10X on Lyft. The Chase Marriott Boundless, which gives 6X on Marriott. The Capital One Venture or the Venture X. I had the Venture X, but for most people, the Venture's fine. It gives 2X on everything. We talked about that. Then the rent I put on Built, and that's 1X per dollar spent.
Dude, you got it dialed to a science, bro. What do you do for gas?
I put that on one of the golds. I actually think I now
because gas could be business like a lot of the time, but some of the time it's personal. So either way, you have a personal or gold business that you put it on.
Yeah.
Do you keep track of it in your phone? Does that help you know which card to use for what? Because it sometimes can become overwhelming.
It can.
Like, wait, which card do I put this on?
Sometimes, yeah, but I kind of have it dialed once I'm looking at it. Actually, so I have two business gold cards. One does ads and dining for that business. The other does gas and dining for this business.
Nice.
So I have two.
Oh yeah, dude, that's dialed, man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back, rewatch this episode, restructure. Wait, what did Jack say on his phone? All right, so I'm gonna go into my apps and let's just only attach this card for this thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of information for sure. Some people do have to watch it twice.
Yeah,
So
dude,
thanks for hanging with us, guys.
No, dude, that's good, man. Like meat and potatoes, actually tangible, implementable things. I mean, I'm even taking notes, guys.
I try to do that. I really try to do that. I've watched a lot of podcasts, and there's some people that give the tangible stuff and some people that don't. And I always try to make sure that I'm giving really tangible stuff.
Yeah, dude. So, all right, everybody wants to know, I'm sure, listening to this, how do we get connected with you? How do we learn from you? How do we find out more? What you got for us?
Instagram, Jack McColl, JackMcColl. Quite easy to find on Instagram. If you want to get more information about my mentorship specifically, quite easy, creditstacking.com. We got tons of testimonials, case studies, all the stuff you would need to, figure out if you want to join the mentorship program. If you just want to go to my Instagram, that's great. Jack McColl, those two places right there.
Let's go.
Thank you guys so much for hanging with us. Really appreciate it. Hopefully this was a valuable episode for all you listeners. And Cody, thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it. I always value in-person podcasts, and it's been quite an amazing experience being on the show with you. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, dude. No, it's been fire, man. Jack, thanks for making time out of your schedule. And I will say, guys, he's got fire content. So definitely go follow him. Lives an awesome life. You'll learn a lot about credit, a lot about travel, a lot about business. But ultimately, man, thank you for your time today. And I believe that lives will be changed because you were willing to show up today. The price that you pay every day, just know that it's not just impacting your own life, the life you're building, the business, all of that. There are people that will listen to this that maybe one nugget you gave today will change their life forever, man. So thank you for paying that price.
I hope so.
All right, guys, go make it a great day.